Nia stood frozen in the doorway of her off-campus apartment. It was supposed to be a surprise. She had just completed her final defense, the last hurdle before graduation, and excitement had carried her all the way home. She hadn't even changed out of her black and white presentation outfit. She came to grab Malik, her fiancé, and celebrate. Suya, malt, and wedding talk. That was the plan. The date was set. The dresses were picked. The families were already involved. But now, standing at the door, it felt like the ground disappeared from under her feet. There on the couch sat Malik, and curled up beside him, head on his shoulder, was Brielle, her closest friend, her maid of honor. The room was stuffy. Curtains drawn, a half-empty bottle of wine on the table. Brielle wore one of Malik's oversized shirts, the kind that looked like she had slept in it. His hand was resting on her bare thigh. Nia didn't need an explanation. She was looking at the aftermath. Her fingers tightened around the folder in her hand. Malik's eyes widened. Nia. Brielle jumped up. You didn't say she was coming back now. Just that one sentence, and Nia's heart cracked. Loudly. She barely found her voice. I came to tell you I passed, she whispered. My final defense. I passed it. Silence. Brielle slowly pulled her shirt down. Malik stood up awkwardly. Nia, I know how this looks. You know exactly how it looks. She cut in, still frozen at the doorway. And you're not even sorry enough to pretend otherwise, Brielle muttered. It wasn't planned. But you didn't stop it either, Nia said bitterly. I was out finishing school, dreaming of forever, of us. Her eyes were on Malik. While you were in here sharing it with my friend. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Nia didn't yell. She didn't beg. She just said, you two deserve each other. Then she turned around and walked away, still holding her folder like it was the only thing keeping her together. By 9:42 p.m., Nia was sitting alone in a lounge called Velvet Elixir, staring into a glass of wine she hadn't even touched. Her hands were slightly shaking. She had never been to a bar by herself before. She wasn't even sure why she came. All she knew was that she couldn't go home. Not tonight. Not after that betrayal. Across the lounge, a man named Ellis was, surrounded by old college friends. It was his last weekend in Lagos before relocating to the UK for a prestigious legal job. His boys had dragged him out to celebrate. The table was loud, bottles clinking, jokes flying, pepper soup bones scattered across napkins. But Ellis wasn't fully present. He kept glancing toward a woman sitting alone. A young woman in a black and white outfit, eyes puffy, shoulders slumped. She looked like someone whose world had just been turned upside down. He didn't know why he couldn't stop looking at her. Then quietly, he stood up. I'll be back, he told his friends. Guy, where you to go? Juan asked. Just give me a second. Ellis approached her table slowly. Hey, mind if I sit here? Nia looked up, startled. Do I know you? No, he said gently. You just look like someone who could use a quiet friend. She stared at him, unsure, then lowered her eyes to the glass. I don't even know why I'm here. You want to talk about it? I just walked in on my fiancé and my best friend. Together. Ellis blinked. Oh, wow. Yeah, Nia said. And now I'm here, drinking something I don't even like, talking to a stranger. I could leave, he offered kindly. She shook her head. No, it's fine. You're better company than my thoughts. He gave a soft smile. That's the nicest thing anyone said to me all day. He sat down. The bartender glanced over. Ellis gave a nod, motioned for another glass. Red wine. Sweet. She looks like she needs sugar more than fire. Nia raised an eyebrow but said nothing. When the wine came, he poured gently and pushed it toward her. Not every day, Byrne, he said. Sometimes. Just breathe. She looked at him again. You sound like a therapist. Just a guy who knows what heartbreak tastes like. She took a sip, then another. The bitterness faded. You want to talk? He asked again. No, she said. Then, after a pause, yes, maybe. The wine flowed. So did the words. 1 hour turned to 2. She told him everything. Or at least, most of it. The engagement, the betrayal, the plans, the humiliation. He just listened. No interruptions. No pity. Just nods, light smiles, and calm silence. You know what hurts the most? She said, swirling her glass. I was a virgin. Saved it all these years. Said I'd wait till marriage. He blinked. Really? Yeah. I was proud of it. Thought it made me different. Guess not. She gave a bitter chuckle, then downed the glass. Ellis refilled it without a word. Nia leaned in slightly. Her voice, quieter now. Do you want it? Ellis paused. Want? What? My virginity. He froze. I'm tired, she said, tired of saving things for people who don't deserve them. I don't want to carry this like it's gold. It clearly didn't stop him from choosing her. He swallowed hard. Are you sure about this? She nodded. Slowly. You don't know me, I don't know you, that's perfect, no complications, just let me forget this day ever happened. He didn't say a word, reached for his wallet. I'll call a cab, he said. No, Nia replied firmly. You take me upstairs. In the hotel room above the lounge, it was quiet. No loud moans, no passionate music, just silence. It wasn't about lust. It wasn't about pleasure. It was two strangers, tipsy and tired, trying to feel something. Anything. Just for one night. A moment of surrender. The first morning light slipped through the half-closed curtains. A soft breeze rustled the drapes as Ellis stirred in bed. His head was heavy, not with alcohol but with confusion. He sat up slowly and rubbed his forehead. The space beside him was cold. He looked over. She was gone. The bedsheet on her side was rumpled, her glass still sitting, untouched on the nightstand. Her scent lingered faintly in the room, but she had vanished. No sound, no note, no trace. Not even a whisper of goodbye. Ellis sat there, unmoving. The silence pressed in around him. He didn't even know her name. They had shared tears, laughter, pain, but skipped the basics. No phone number, no school, no surname, not even a neighborhood. Just a memory, a fragile, haunting, beautiful memory. And for the first time in years, Ellis felt hollow. He rose, got dressed quickly, and headed down to the hotel lobby. The receptionist barely looked up. Good morning, Ellis said softly. The woman I came in with last night, did she leave anything, a message, a name? She didn't lift her eyes from the register. She left early, didn't speak to anyone. He nodded. No name, no number, no clue. Just one night, and a girl, who slipped away like smoke. Meanwhile, Nia returned to her dorm just before 7 a.m., walking slowly, the way people walk when they know they've made a bad decision. Her blouse was wrinkled, her hair slightly undone. Her eyes were tired and puffy. She hadn't slept, not really. She locked the door behind her and just stood in silence. The guilt was already waiting for her. She dropped her bag, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at the wall like it could answer the question she didn't know how to ask. She had just been betrayed by her fiancé and best friend, and now she'd slept with a stranger. A man whose name she didn't even ask. No number, no idea if he lived in Nigeria or just flew in for one night of mischief. Nia buried her face in her hands. What were you thinking, girl? She groaned, rocked forward slightly. Heartbreak really makes you lose your entire mind. She wanted to rewind. Time. Take back the wine, the tears, the moment she leaned in. But it was done. There was no rewind button. She sat in her shame for a few minutes, let it settle in. Let it sting. Then finally she stood up, took a deep breath and muttered, "We move." There were bags to pack, final clearance, defense results to collect. No time to be dragging regrets around like wet laundry. A few days later, Nia returned home. She expected peace, quiet, a fresh start. What she got was a storm. She hadn't even stepped fully into the living room when her mother snapped, "So you and Malik are no longer getting married, Abi? What happens to the money? We gave Auntie Chinwe for the bridal hall?" Nia blinked. "Mommy, don't mommy me," her mother barked, arms folded tightly. "You mean after all the fasting, night prayers, and holy water we poured on this relationship, that boy still left you? For Brielle? That broomstick that failed WAEC 3 times? Her father was sitting on the couch, legs crossed, silent. His expression was a blend of disappointment and disbelief, the face of a man watching the final episode of a bad series he already regretted starting. He didn't speak at first. He just kept shaking his head. Slowly. Then finally he raised his eyes and asked, "What are you going to do with your life now?" Nia opened her mouth to answer. Her mother jumped in again, this time softer but still stern. "You need to move on. Clean your face. Lift your head. Start preparing for law school. This world doesn't stop because one man lost sense." A long silence followed. Nia just nodded, quietly walked to her room and closed the door behind her. But the real thunderstorm came 4 weeks later, when Nia missed her period. At first, she didn't panic, told herself it was stress, hormonal imbalance, emotional overload. But when 1 month turned into 2 and nausea started visiting every morning like an unwelcome tenant, she knew. One morning, she lined up 3 pregnancy test kits on the bathroom sink like soldiers facing judgment. Each one blinked back at her with 2 bold pink lines, positive. She sat on the floor, silent, then screamed. Not a sharp scream, a slow, guttural, painful one. The type you let out when you know life just took a sharp left turn off a cliff. When her parents found out, all hell broke loose. Her mother ran straight to the backyard, screaming into the sky like a Nollywood widow at a funeral. "Who did this to my daughter? God of Elijah, fire and thunder, slap his destiny." Her father didn't say a word. He just calmly pulled out a travel bag from under the bed, packed her clothes again and left it by the door. That was his way of disciplining. Silent relocation. "This disgrace can't stay under my roof," he said, eyes distant. "Call Mama Letty. Let her come and carry her." When Nia arrived at her grandmother's house, the gate opened before she even knocked. Mama Letty stood there in sunglasses, wrapper tied like a queen, sipping Zobo from a crystal glass. She looked Nia up and down. "So you brought scandal to my doorstep." Nia's eyes welled up. "Grandma, I'm sorry." She took another sip. "You're lucky I already boiled rice. Come inside before mosquitoes join your shame." That night, Nia broke down completely. Tears. Sniffles. Full confession. She told Mama Letty everything. The heartbreak. The bar. The stranger. The test kits. Her grandmother didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just folded her arms and nodded slowly. Then, after a pause, said, "Go and find him." Nia blinked. "Find who?" "The man that planted national news in your belly. He deserves to know. He's a father now." "But, Grandma," "No buts. He should at least see what he left behind before disappearing forever. Don't let that child grow up and ask, 'Who's my daddy?' and you start pointing at the sky." The next morning, Grandma drove Nia back to Velvet Elixir herself. Her wig was laid, perfume loud, glasses big enough to command authority. They approached the front desk together. "My granddaughter was here 3 months ago," Grandma began confidently. "With a young man. We're not here to disturb you. We just want his name. We want to greet him. That's all." The receptionist shook her head. "Ma, we don't give out customer information. It's against policy." Grandma leaned forward and took off her glasses. "Do you know who I am?" "Ma, please." even a name. The man that changed my granddaughter's destiny. Ma, please. We can't. God will judge you. Nia pulled her gently. Grandma. Let's go. As they walked away, Grandma muttered under her breath. One night stand. 1,000,000 consequences. This life is wicked. Back at school, Nia didn't let the shame swallow her. She focused on law school, on clearing her name through work, on rebuilding from the ground up. She walked the campus with her head high even when her baby bump started to show. And so did the whispers. She's pregnant. Who's the father? I heard he's abroad. I heard he's imaginary. One girl even had the nerve to ask, "Are you keeping it?" Nia looked her dead in the eye and said, "Are you keeping your ignorance?" One afternoon, while picking groceries and oats milk bread, she ran into Malik at the store. He smirked when he saw her belly. Well, well, he said, arms folded. Look who's glowing with scandal. Nia raised an eyebrow. Look who's still built like disappointment. He scoffed. So you really went and got pregnant for a mystery man, huh? Classy. She smiled. And you really opened your mouth in public again. Risky. I was going to marry you, he snapped. You were going to marry Brielle too, she fired. Maybe even your ego. He stepped forward. Who's the father? Nia leaned in close and whispered, I'll tell you when I find out who your real father is. He stared, stunned. She grabbed her bag of groceries, stepped past him, and added quietly, Go back to irrelevance. You wear it well. That night, back at Grandma Letty's house, Nia sat on the couch, rubbing her stomach gently. We're okay, she whispered. We're more than okay. 9 months passed, and on a rainy Tuesday a little girl named Mia arrived. She came with big cheeks, strong lungs, a head full of curly hair, and a dark, curved birthmark on her left shoulder, shaped like a bent question mark. The nurses said it was rare, unique. Nia just stared at it, holding her baby close, and whispered, You're carrying the mark of a story. Even I don't understand. From that moment, Mia ruled Nia's world. She had her mother's fire, her grandmother's sarcasm, and a stubbornness that came pre-installed. After law school, Nia took every case she could get, divorce battles, land feuds, family dramas, even a woman suing her cousin for stealing all the plantains in the soup. She won them all. Case by case, reputation by reputation, she built herself back. By 28, she was known as the courtroom lioness, sharp tongue, clean suits, zero tolerance, and while Nia dominated courtrooms, Mia dominated the house. One Saturday, Mia was eating cheese balls on the couch when she asked, Mommy, is my daddy real or cartoon? Nia blinked. Real. Then why don't we ever FaceTime him? Nia froze. Because he lives abroad. Mia narrowed her eyes. What kind of abroad doesn't have video call? Eat your cheese balls. At church, when someone asked Mia if she was a daddy's girl, she shrugged and said, No, I'm a two women raised me type of girl. Grandma nearly dropped her purse from laughing. Mia loved interrupting important moments. One evening, Nia was rehearsing a major court argument, pacing, gesturing, fire in her tone. Mia walked in, clapped twice, and said, Okay, okay, okay. Can I have custard now, or are we still pretending to be in court? Then, one day, it came, an email. Subject, formal invitation, senior counsel brief. Blake & Shaw, LLP. It was one of the biggest law firms in the country. Top-tier clients, high-stakes cases. We've followed your work. Your reputation is undeniable. We'd like you to lead a special litigation. If successful, a full-time senior counsel position awaits. Nia read it 3 times. Her mouth hung open. Grandma walked into the room holding a bowl of peanuts. Why is your mouth open like generator? Tank? Nia turned the laptop toward her. Grandma adjusted her glasses and screamed, Jesus, your mommy has been hired by rich people. Mia dropped her crayon. Who? A very big law firm. Nia smiled. Mia tilted her head. Is it the kind of firm that puts ice cream in the fridge? Nia burst into laughter. Grandma shook her head proudly. Whether they store ice cream or a goose, they've called your mother to come and collect destiny. The next morning, over breakfast, Nia made the big announcement. I start the new job next week, she said, smiling. Mia's spoon froze midair. Will my new daddy be working there too? Nia choked on her tea. Excuse me? I'm just asking. Big firms must have big daddies. Grandma slammed the table, laughing. This girl, where did you fall from? The new firm, Blake & Shaw LLP, was everything it promised. Nia was given a private office, a premium leather chair, and a client file thick enough to stop a bullet. Her first assignment? A multi-million-dollar inheritance battle involving a tech billionaire's mysterious child. The irony didn't escape her. Meanwhile, Mia kept the house wild and dramatic. One day she declared, If you give me water instead of juice again, I'm running away to find my real daddy. Grandma replied without flinching, Good. Just call us when you reach his house so we can collect your toys. Another time, Nia found her talking to the mirror. What are you doing? She asked. Practicing my speech for when Daddy comes back from abroad. I need to greet him properly. Nia sighed. Mia. I'll just say, Hi, I'm Mia. This is my birthmark. Why did you disappear? Then I'll collect ice cream. But it wasn't always jokes. Some nights, Nia would find Mia sitting, quietly on the couch hugging her teddy. You okay, baby? I'm just thinking about my daddy. Why he doesn't know I exist. Nia sat beside her, heart aching. I don't have the answer yet, she whispered. But one day I'll tell you everything. Mia nodded. He better be handsome, or I'll block him. Where did you learn that? Grandma. Then came a public holiday, which meant no school. Grandma had traveled to the village for a funeral and wasn't picking up calls. The babysitter sent a voice note from the bathroom. Weak voice, background vomiting. Nia was panicking. She had no choice but to take Mia to the firm's daycare on the first floor of the building. But Mia wasn't having it. I don't want to stay here, she said with her hands on her hips like she was filing an official complaint. That boy over there has been crying since we entered. He drooled on his own shoe. Mommy, on his shoe. Nia blinked, already sweating. That other girl tried to eat a red crayon. She licked it like sweet. Mia, and the woman in charge smells like milk that forgot itself. Mia, please! Nia bent down to her level. Grandma's not here, the sitter is sick, and my brand new boss from the UK is starting today. I need to look serious. Mia narrowed her eyes. Is he handsome? What does that have to do with anything? I need to know if we're respecting him with energy or just small greeting. Nia stared up at the ceiling and whispered a prayer. Mia, I'm begging. Please stay here. No escaping, no shouting, no organizing a protest. Mia crossed her arms. Only if there's ice cream involved. There is. With chocolate syrup? Yes. Rainbow sprinkles? Yes. The cone that looks like birthday cap? Yes. And gummy worm. Mia. I'm asking because I'm suffering. Nia turned to the daycare teacher, Miss Beatrice, with a desperate smile. Please help me beg her. Miss Beatrice laughed. We'll take care of her. Mia finally walked in like someone being sentenced to house arrest. She picked the chair closest to the window, sighed loudly and muttered, I'm only staying here because I love you, and because you promised double syrup. 7 minutes later, a new record for staying still, Mia spotted something. Red balloon floated out of the playroom and drifted into the hallway. Her eyes followed it, then her legs. Before Miss Beatrice could say, Mia, where are you going? The girl had slipped through the glass door like a ninja. She chased the balloon down the firm's marble hallway like it owed her money. It bounced once. She giggled. It floated toward the main lobby. She followed it. Then, bam, she collided into something tall, firm, and serious. She landed on the floor with a dramatic ow. A tall man immediately bent down. Oh my God, are you okay? Mia looked up at him unbothered. You walk like you're going to war. The man, Ellis, blinked. He wasn't expecting that. I'm sorry, are you hurt? I'm fine. My dress is strong, she said confidently. dusting herself off. "What are you doing here by yourself?" he asked. "Where's your mom?" "She's working," Mia replied proudly. "She's the best lawyer in this office." Ellis chuckled. "Really? What's her name?" "My mommy's name is—" She squinted, then tilted her head. "Wait, who are you?" He smiled gently. "I'm Ellis. I'm the CEO of this company." Mia gasped. "You're the big boss? So, you're rich?" "Something like that. I like you already. Please be nice to my mommy. She works too much and forgot my juice box twice last week." He laughed. Then her shoulder strap slipped, just slightly. And he saw it, the birthmark. A dark, curved mark on her shoulder, exactly like his. His smile vanished. His breath caught. His chest tightened. He stared, looked at her again, then back at the mark. "Who's your daddy?" he asked softly. Mia tilted her head. "My mom said, 'Sir.'" His assistant came running. "The board meeting started 20 minutes ago. Everyone's waiting." Ellis blinked, lost in thought. "Oh, right." He looked back down. "Wait, what's your mommy's name again?" Mia smiled sweetly. "I'm Mia. My mommy is Nia. She's the best lawyer here." Ellis froze, then turned slowly toward the elevator, in complete shock. Mia adjusted her dress and skipped back to the daycare like it was just another Tuesday. Miss Beatrice finally caught her. "Mia, where did you go?" "I was chasing a balloon," she said calmly. "Then I met the CEO. He's rich. I told him to be nice to my mommy." And with that, she sat back in her corner, like she hadn't just flipped a man's world upside down. Ellis stood in the elevator, eyes wide, heart racing, mind spinning. Nia. The name echoed like a drumbeat. Nia. The woman he had never forgotten. The woman who disappeared without a name, a note, or a trace, after one unforgettable night. He remembered every detail, the way she laughed through her pain, the fire in her voice, the soft way she looked at the ceiling when she talked about her dreams. And now 5 years later, he meets a little girl with her eyes, his birthmark, her words, "My mommy is Nia. She's the best lawyer in this whole company." He barely noticed the boardroom doors as they swung open, barely registered the round table, full of senior partners, barely heard the introductions. He was still frozen in the hallway and in that moment, as the world shifted beneath his feet. Meanwhile, in the daycare, Mia was back to drawing a 3-legged dinosaur with pink lipstick. She acted like nothing had happened, but something had. She'd just introduced her mother to destiny. Later that day, after the boardroom meeting, Ellis returned to his office. He closed the door behind him, pulled off his tie, and sat at his desk in complete silence. His assistant walked in holding a stack of files. "These are the new case leads. Also, the senior counsel for the Preston inheritance case has arrived. Her name is Nia." The assistant paused. "Yes, Nia Brooks. Do you know her?" Ellis didn't answer. He simply looked out the window. Down the hall, Nia was reviewing the Preston file in her new office, unaware of the storm that had begun to gather outside her door. She felt proud, focused, at peace. Mia was safe downstairs. Grandma was back in town, and her future was finally unfolding like she had worked for, one courtroom win at a time. The next morning, Ellis stood outside Nia's office, heart pounding. He lifted his hand to knock, then hesitated. Inside, Nia was speaking on a conference call, calm, in control, her voice sharp and smooth like a polished blade. He listened through the frosted glass. That voice, the same voice that had once whispered, "I don't want to carry this anymore like it's gold." His hand dropped. He couldn't face her yet. Not without knowing for sure. Not without hearing it from her. He turned and walked away. For now. Back at home, Mia was giving Grandma a headache. Again. "If you give me yam and egg one more time," she declared, hands on hips, "I will run away to join my daddy abroad." Grandma didn't flinch. "When you reach his house, just call so we can send your socks," Later, Nia found Mia in the mirror again. "What now?" she asked, practicing my speech. "When Daddy shows up, I need to greet him like a queen." Nia sighed. "Mia, you don't have to practice. I'll just say, 'Hi, I'm Mia. This is my birthmark. Why did you disappear?' Then I'll collect ice cream." Nia shook her head. "You're not collecting anything. But if he cries, I'll hug him. You will not." "Wait. What?" Then one afternoon, Mia came home from school. "Quiet, too quiet," Nia noticed instantly. "What's wrong?" Mia sniffled. "Chelsea said I'm the only one in class without a daddy. She said maybe I was made in a lab." Nia's chest tightened. She dropped her bag and pulled Mia into her arms. "You are not a science experiment," she said, kissing her forehead. "You are my baby. The best decision I've ever made. You have a daddy. He just doesn't know you exist yet." Mia looked up, eyes round. "Do I still have to greet Chelsea tomorrow?" "Absolutely not." The next morning, Nia personally walked Mia to school. She asked to speak with the form teacher, Miss Janet, who greeted her with a nervous smile. "Actually, I was hoping to speak with you too." Nia tensed. "Is Mia all right?" "She's perfectly fine," the teacher said. "But there was a situation yesterday." "What kind of situation?" Miss Janet opened a folder, then leaned in like she was about to tell a secret. "Chelsea made a comment about Mia not having a father. Before I could intervene, your daughter stood up calmly and said—" Nia raised her brow. "Said what?" "She said, 'My mommy is a lawyer. If you talk to me like that again, she'll arrest your whole family, send you to jail, and throw the keys into the Atlantic Ocean.'" Nia's eyes widened. She didn't stop there. Miss Janet added. She told Chelsea, "Mind your missing tooth. You still fail your homework even though you have a daddy." Then she told the others not to laugh or they'd be reported too. Then sat down and ate her biscuit like nothing happened. Nia fought back a laugh. "Thank you for handling it, but please, let's make sure no child gets mocked like that again." "Absolutely," Miss Janet nodded. Outside, Nia got into her car, closed the door, and burst out laughing. She said, "Atlantic Ocean? And homework?" She shook her head, tears of laughter in her eyes. "Who raised this child?" Then she smiled softly. "My Mia, small in size, loud in courage." That same afternoon, Nia walked confidently into her office at Blake & Shaw LLP. She moved like someone who had earned every step. There was no noise in her spirit, no trace of the woman who had once stood heartbroken in a bar, clutching a folder, like it could hold her together. She had battled betrayal, raised a child alone, and rebuilt herself piece by piece. And now she had a sleek office with her name on the door, and a 5-year-old firecracker at home who talked like she ran a courtroom of her own. 6 years earlier, Ellis Kingsley had left Nigeria for the UK with a clear plan. Rise in the legal world, gain global experience, and distance himself from the weight of memories he didn't quite understand. He hadn't left because of heartbreak, not consciously. But deep down, there had always been something, or rather, someone, lingering. In the shadows of his thoughts, he had never spoken of it, until one night in London, 2 years into his time abroad, sitting at a rooftop bar with his close friends Joel and Marcus. They were celebrating another courtroom win. Glasses clinked, laughter flowed. Then Joel leaned in with a grin. "Bro, real question. When was the last time you even talked about a woman?" Marcus nodded. "No stories, no dates, no drama, just you and your boring trophies." Ellis sipped his drink slowly, then said, "I had a one-night stand, the week before I moved here." Joel nearly choked. "Wait, you?" "Mr. Predictable," Marcus added. "Mr. Plan Everything. You had a one-night stand?" "It was different," Ellis said. They leaned in. She was heartbroken, hurt. We talked. One thing led to another. Then morning came, and she vanished. "No name?" Joel asked. "No number?" Marcus added. "Nothing," Ellis said. "Just gone." Joel blinked. "What if you were trash?" In bed and she fled at dawn? Ellis rolled his eyes. Shut up. But you haven't forgotten her, Joel said, narrowing his eyes. Ellis didn't answer. You haven't, have you? He sighed. No, I haven't. Why? I don't know. She looked like someone falling apart inside but pretending to be okay. I just never forgot that. They clinked glasses again, this time in mock tribute to the nameless woman who flipped Ellis Kingsley's brain and vanished like a magician. They laughed, but Ellis didn't, because deep down he had always felt that night mattered. He just didn't know why. Now, standing in the hallway of his Lagos law firm, staring at the closed door with Nia Brooks printed neatly on the frosted glass, Ellis knew. It mattered because it had consequences, and one of them had a small face, and his birthmark. Meanwhile, Nia was negotiating with her 5-year-old daughter like she was talking to a union leader. Mia, please, I have a huge client briefing today. Mia crossed her arms. Then why did you leave my cereal soggy? I was preparing my slides. You're not preparing my breakfast like someone who loves me. Maya. Grandma Letty walked in sipping tea.
Why is this house always vibrating with drama before 9 a.m.? Because your granddaughter thinks she's my supervisor. I am, Mia said proudly. Later that evening, Nia came home late. The house was quiet. She walked into Mia's
room and found her daughter asleep hugging her teddy bear. She smiled, brushed a strand of hair from Mia's face, and whispered, "One day I'll tell you everything." She kissed her forehead and left. But the truth was no longer hiding. It was walking the same hallways, breathing the same office air, and knocking, slowly, on the edges of everything Nia had built. The next day at the firm, Ellis stood at the edge of Nia's office again, just outside the glass door. She was inside, presenting to a small legal team with calm precision. Her hair was in a neat bun, her suit crisp, her words flawless. He watched her like someone seeing a ghost, not of fear, but of memory. She hadn't changed much. Still fierce, still graceful, still the woman whose face had haunted his quietest nights. But now, there was more. Now, she was the mother of a child who bore his birthmark, a child who had his timing, his sarcasm, his curiosity, and her fire. Ellis didn't knock, not yet. He turned and walked away again, quietly, as if the hallway might give him answers before she did. That night, Grandma Letty sat in her favorite chair watching TV and cracking peanuts with Mia beside her. "I'm telling you," Mia said dramatically, "when Daddy shows up, I'll need a full week of ice cream." Grandma didn't look up. "When he shows up, I'll need smelling salts. I think he's tall and rich, like a movie king. I think he better come, with apology flowers and a lawyer." At work the next day, Nia was reviewing final documents for the Preston inheritance case. It was a massive file, but she had already made sense of it. She closed the folder and turned it into reception. Ellis, across the hallway, saw her. She didn't see him. She walked confidently, heels clicking like punctuation marks on the polished floor. He stood there, watching, still silent. But something shifted in him. A decision took shape. He returned to his office, opened his drawer, and pulled out an old notebook from London. Inside was a single entry, a date, a sentence, and a name scribbled beneath it. "Met someone. She didn't tell me her name. But she wore heartbreak like perfume." He closed the book slowly. That night he didn't sleep, because in a city of millions, the woman who vanished had returned. And her daughter was calling him without knowing why. It was Friday morning. The office was buzzing. Lawyers raced in and out of meetings, phones rang, assistants moved like clockwork. Nia sat behind her desk, updating files and drafting her final summary for the Preston case. She was focused, razor sharp, until she heard a soft knock on her door. "Come in," she called without looking up. The door opened. She glanced up, then froze. Ellis Kingsley was standing in her doorway. The CEO, the man she had only seen In the distance during brief meetings, now up close he looked even more intimidating. Tall, composed, but his eyes weren't cold. They were searching. "Hi," he said, his voice softer than she expected. Nia stood slowly. "Mr. Kingsley? I hope I'm not disturbing." "No," she cut in. "I just wasn't expecting a visit," he finished. They stood in silence for a second. Then he took a careful step inside, closed the door behind him. "I met your daughter," he said. Nia's breath caught. "At the daycare. She ran into me. She said nothing. She's brilliant. Bold. She said you're the best lawyer in this whole company." Nia's throat tightened. "I also noticed something," he continued. Nia's fingers gripped the desk. "She has a birthmark," Ellis said slowly. "On her left shoulder. Dark. Curved. Like a question mark." Nia looked away. Ellis took another step forward. His voice lowered. "I have the same one." And just like that, the air changed. Nia sat down. Not because she wanted to, but because her knees no longer agreed with her. "I didn't know your name," she whispered. "I didn't know yours either. You left before I woke up." "I woke up, and you were gone." "I didn't even know if you lived here," she said. "Or if you were just passing through. I tried to ask about you at the lobby, but there was nothing." Silence. Ellis stepped closer. His voice cracked slightly. "Is she mine?" Nia looked up. Her eyes met his, and for the first time in 5 years, the truth had nowhere left to hide. "Yes," she said quietly. "Mia is yours." Ellis sat down across from her. Everything in his body deflated, like he'd been holding his breath for 5 years and finally let go. "I had no idea. I didn't either. Not at first." He rubbed his hands together slowly. "She looks like you. She acts like you." He smiled a little. "She told me I walk like I'm going to war. She told me you were rich. She told me to be nice to her mom." Nia laughed softly. Then it faded. "I wasn't hiding her," she said. "I just didn't know how to find you, and by the time I tried, you were gone." He nodded. "I understand. I raised her alone," she added. "With my mother's help. It wasn't easy." "I want to be part of her life," Ellis said. Gay looked at him for a long moment. "I believe you." Then, after a pause, she added, "But you'll have to earn her trust. She's small, but she's fierce." Ellis smiled. "I figured." Later that night, Nia stood in Mia's room watching her sleep. The little girl had no idea her world had just tilted. She brushed a curl off Mia's forehead and whispered, "You were never missing anything. But now, maybe something's being added." Down the hall, Ellis stood in the doorway watching them both, silently, carefully, gratefully. It started slow. No grand announcements. No big reunions, just visits. First, Ellis sent a package to the house, a box of rainbow sprinkles, chocolate syrup, 3 cartoon-shaped ice cream scoops, and a note. "I heard you like your cones shaped like birthday hats. Let's share one, sometime soon." Mia squealed so loud Grandma Letty dropped her phone. "Mommy, it's him," Mia shouted. "The CEO, he remembered the cone." Nia stood frozen. "How do you even know what a cone-shaped birthday hat is?" "He told me not to organize a protest in daycare. That means he's smart." Ellis started showing up. 2 school recitals, weekend art shows, even swim class, even though Mia didn't know how to swim. He never pushed, never forced, just showed up. One Saturday, he took Mia to the zoo. She returned home with a plastic crown, face paint, and a stuffed giraffe she named Briefcase. "Why Briefcase?" Nia asked. "Because he's tall and important like my daddy." One evening, while washing dishes, Nia looked out the window and saw them in the yard. Ellis sitting on the grass, Mia standing on his shoulders, hands in the air like she was flying. She hadn't seen her daughter laugh like that in a long time, or maybe ever. Weeks passed. Conversations deepened. Boundaries softened. One night, after Mia had gone to sleep, Ellis stayed for tea. They sat across from each other, no longer CEO and lawyer, no longer strangers, but something gentler. "I'm sorry," Ellis said suddenly. Nia looked up. "For what?" "For not being there, for not knowing, for not trying harder to find you." "You didn't know," she replied. "And I left without leaving breadcrumbs." Still he said nothing. She took a breath. "But you're here now." That sentence hung in the air like forgiveness. The next weekend, they went to a park as a family, just the three of them. Mia ran between trees like a wild breeze. Nia watched Ellis watch her and saw something shift in his eyes. Not just love, but awe. Later, as they walked back to the car, Mia slipped her hand into his and said, "Can you hold this so it doesn't get lonely?" Ellis swallowed hard. "Of course." That night, when he dropped them home, Mia kissed his cheek and whispered, "You're officially unblocked." Inside the house, Nia smiled. "Unblocked?" "She said she'd block me if I wasn't handsome," Ellis replied with a grin. "She said that?" "She learned it from your mother." Before he left, Ellis turned at the door. "I meant what I said, Nia. I want to be part of your life too, not just Mia's." Nia stared at him. There was no pressure in his voice, no demand, just truth. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel afraid of opening the door. It had been 3 months since the truth came out. 3 months since a little girl with oversized sunglasses and an even bigger voice chased a balloon into a CEO and unlocked a history nobody saw coming. Now, life was changing, gently but deeply. Mia had fully accepted Ellis into her world. She'd given him titles like Commander of Ice, Cream, Fixer of Homework, and Official Crayon Sharpener. She even wrote his name on a cardboard crown and made him wear it to her school's family day. He wore it the entire day. Proudly. Nia's heart softened in quiet stages. One evening, she came home to find Ellis and Mia building a pillow fort in the living room. "I'm the court judge," Mia yelled from inside. "And Daddy is the lawyer. Mommy, you can be the witness." Nia leaned on the doorway watching the scene, her once scattered life now rethreading itself with laughter, love, and Lego bricks. She didn't say it out loud, but she felt it. This was home. One night, under the stars on Grandma Letty's balcony, Ellis and Nia sat side by side. No words, just soft air and the hum of a distant generator. Then Ellis spoke. "I don't want to miss another year, another moment, another anything." Nia turned to him, her expression unreadable. "I'm not perfect," he continued, "but I'll keep showing up as a father, as a man, as someone who never stopped remembering you." Nia looked at him, heart full. Then she leaned her head against his shoulder. "You're here now," she said. "That's what matters." Weeks later, on Mia's 6th birthday, the house was packed with balloons, cake, cousins, and chaos. Mia wore a tutu, sparkly shoes, and a superhero cape. She blew out her candles and shouted, "I want a baby brother." "Next year!" Nia choked on her drink. Ellis turned red. Grandma Letty screamed, "From who?" Everyone laughed. But the laughter wasn't empty this time. It was rooted in something real. That night, after the guests left and the lights dimmed, Nia tucked Mia into bed. Mia yawned, rolled over, and said sleepily, "Mommy?" "Yes, baby." "Like our life now?" Nia smiled. "Me too." Outside, Ellis stood by the window, watching the moonlight touch the rooftops. He rolled up his sleeve and stared at the curved birthmark on his shoulder. It had always been just a mark, but now it meant legacy. It meant family. It meant Mia. In a world full of uncertain meetings and missed chances somehow, one night had planted the seed of a future none of them could have planned, and it bloomed, not perfectly but beautifully together.